Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Hammersmith Hardman Presents My Bottom. I'm Ross Little, the host of the podcast and also the bloke who owns the Hammersmith Hardman Instagram page. And I'm delighted to be joined today by the wonderful Katie Thompson.
Hello.
As my co-host for the day. Katie is a founder, a writer, a runner and a banterer. These are Katie's words, by the way.
I thought you thought I was funny.
Oh, no, yeah, well, you are, because aside from being a business owner, a founder of a business owner, Katie Lingo, which does things like copywriting and digital marketing and stuff like that, you're also a part-time stand-up comic, I would say. Very funny one at that. You're a presenter sometimes,
Yep.
and sometimes you run marathons. But most importantly, you are a massive Bottom fan. So Katie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me as a co-host on this very special video edition of the Hammersmith Hardman. Usually we do this audio only, so this is something new, something exciting. So thank you for joining me. And is there anything else you want to add to my description of you? And yeah, just you basically.
I'm just mentally psyching for the nerdiest I've ever been in my life. Quite a Simpsons nerd as well, but I know I'm in good company there.
Exactly, yes. I think a lot of the followers would know that too. I'm quite a big Simpsons fan.
Yeah, big Meatloaf fan. There might be some followers.
There might be.
80s music, anything that's from the 90s and before is great.
Excellent. Well, if anyone is a Meatloaf fan, leave a comment in the comments, and I'm sure Katie will be happy to chat Meatloaf with you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so today's episode is called Your Bottom, and basically today Katie and I are just going to sit and have a chat about all things bottom. But the followers might remember a couple of weeks ago I put a post out asking what bottom meant to you, and I did the same about 6 months ago as well. So what we've done is we've gone through all those comments about what bottom meant to you, and we've kind of pulled them all together and put them into some sort of different subject headings, and we're just going to go through them and talk about them basically, talk about the comments that you've left, talk about what it means to us and how it kind of resonates with our own experiences of bottom, and yeah, just have a really good old chat about bottom. So I hope that sounds good. Does that sound good to you?
Exactement, brother.
Excellent. And so we'll kick off. So one of the things that came through really strongly was, I think the most common response when I asked about what bottom means to the followers was watching it with their parents, watching it with their siblings, being introduced to it by a parent or a sibling. Or actually, most of the time it was people's dads that were introduced into bottom. And like lots of childhood memories are linked to bottom one way or another. I don't know if that is something that resonates with you.
Absolutely, yeah. It was interesting how you said a lot of people said their dad got them into it. I don't know if the nature of kind of slapstick violence is just something that appeals more to men. I mean, I've got 3 sisters and I know they love it just as much as I do, but I suppose the bulk of my memories are from my dad and my brothers. And not even so much watching it so much as just quoting it to each other. Just out of nowhere my dad would be like, Eddie, you're funny, Jonathan Ross or whatever. And I'd just be like, oh right, yeah, of course, it's a quote. And so all my memories are particularly of like my dad and my little brother, who is just the best at impressions of anyone. So yeah, it must just be our parents' terrible influence, I guess.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think I got into it via my cousin.
Yeah.
Cousin who's a boy. So again, it was not my dad. My parents are not a fan of bottom, I have to say. They watched me doing the page and the podcast, and they're like, what the hell is he doing? So my parents weren't a fan of bottom. Although my dad was a gas man.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, you can imagine the fun I used to have when I was younger, and I'd see his van pull up on the drive and being like, it's the gas man!
That's so funny. My dad used to work for Baxi. Wow. It must just be a gas man thing.
There is a gas, yeah, it's a gas theme.
Yeah.
So that was always fun, but then they never really got the quote, the joke, so I was kind of basically just saying that quote out loud to myself on a daily basis, just being a really annoying child.
Yeah. No one gets it, it's of course I get.
But an interesting one on here is someone's put that Bottom was the first VHS tape that they bought.
Nice.
And they bought season 2, and they were actually underage when they bought it, which would make sense because I would imagine that the VHSs would have been like 15 to get it.
Probably, yeah.
And it was the first thing they ever bought using a debit card. Isn't that nice? First ever debit card purchase was a Bottom VHS.
That is interesting.
What a lovely memory to have attached to your
I
first
have a similar one. Actually.
Yeah, go on. You do share.
Well, mine was it was the same thing. It was like my first debit card thing, but it was a box set of Bottom, both series, and then the young ones as well. Sorry, all 3 series and then 2 series. The young
What,
ones.
all in one play? What, DVD or VHS?
That was DVD, so it was a bit older. But yeah.
I didn't know you could get a combined bottom young ones.
You could in HMV before it went down the pan.
Because there's lots of different versions of the bottom DVDs, I've noticed. If you go like on Amazon or somewhere. Yeah, I've got a couple of different versions. You get them individually. You can get them in one 3-pack, which has got the cover's purple, and it's got, I think it's Richie in the Halloween devil outfit. I think Eddie probably is banana. But there's also another one which is like it's almost like a BBC Classics, and it's just a token shot of them looking at the camera. And then there's lots of different types of basically just like that.
Yeah.
Katie's very good at Rick's face, by the way. So we are going to get onto Rick a bit later. So I'm really hoping there's actually a whole section here. I've got all the notes on my phone here. There's actually a whole section here called Richie's facial expressions. Which is going to be basically just your time to shine.
Effing marvellous.
But we'll get onto that in a bit. That's interesting. Something else in here: spending time with my dad, laughing and not knowing why I was laughing. Laughing at things as a child, but then when you grow up, you realise what they mean. And I think that's really interesting too. I think when I spoke to, I think it was Rick Mayall's scrapbook in episode 2 of the podcast, we talked about how it's like as a child, it's the cartoon violence that draws you in.
Of course,
to
yeah.
And maybe some of the naughty words, some of the innuendo, the things that sound naughty, but you're not quite sure why. Yeah. But that's enough to get you hooked on bottom. That's the sort of stuff you talk about in the playground the next day to your mates.
Oh God, yeah.
But then as you get older, you'll laugh at some of the jokes, but you won't know why you're laughing. You know, the audience is laughing, and if you're watching it with your parents, they'll be laughing, and you'll laugh along, but you won't really know why you're laughing. But it's when you get older, say you get to kind of your teens, late teens, early 20s, or whenever you dip back into bottom, so to speak. All of a sudden you get the innuendo, you get some of the more kind of social commentary jokes. I think it's one of the things for me that makes you grow with it, because you can. There's a lot you can get from bottom. It's 10 years after you first watched it.
Yeah, do you know, I felt that way about Drop Dead Fred as well.
Yeah.
Because I always say that's an adult film. I mean, that's a weird kind of crossover, because obviously it is about a child.
Yes.
So you watch it, you love it as a kid, and then again when the mega bitch and then no panties or whatever. Like, oh, hang on, this is funny on an adult level as well. Like I remember watching it back and being like, oh, I know what a rubber Johnny is now. I never did when I was 5 or whatever.
I think that's it. Things like when Eddie shouts out, "I've got it, Johnny's," and everyone's absolutely wetting themselves laughing. Yeah. And I think as an 8-year-old, or like we established in one of the other podcasts how old I was when I first watched it. I think I was 10. Yeah. I can't think I'd have known what a Johnny was, and I can't think I'd have known when they were in the pub toilet at the Johnny machine. I can't think I'd have known that. Yeah. I can't think off the top of my head of another joke that would have gone. So in the episode Digger, when they're in the office, and she says, "Can you see all right?" And then he says, "No, that's where I wear glasses." Yeah. And then Richie says, "I've got excellent eyesight," which is remarkable when you think about it. Yeah. That's the sort of thing. Again, the audience goes wild for that. I would have sat there and laughed, but surely I can't think at 10 years old I would have got that. I don't know about you.
Yeah, do you know, I think I've just got it just then. I thought he was just bragging. I just went, it's a wanking joke, Katie. Wow, thank you. You've opened my eyes there. No pun intended.
If you weren't sure, followers, listeners, the old wives' tale, is it? Husband's tale. Because there will be some people that have watched it and probably will be adults and won't get the joke. The old wives' tale is that masturbation makes you go blind. I mean...
How many fingers? Sorry.
I have actually got perfect eyesight. 2020, which is remarkable if you think about it. Yeah. So yeah. And while we're on the subject of watching it with parents and siblings when you're young, this kind of this tweet. Let's not go there. This response isn't about watching it when they were young, but it's a follower in Canada. So I'm really pleased to see we've got a follower in Canada. Nice. They let me know that Bottom used to be aired on a kids channel in Canada, which I've got no idea why that
very
would
liberal
be.
Out there, aren't they?
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah.
Apparently that's fine and good on them. But so then apparently he used to watch it 24/7, all the time. His girlfriend, he lived with his girlfriend. Apparently his girlfriend didn't appreciate Bottom, didn't understand it, didn't know why he was watching all the time. And then the comment ended with him saying that his girlfriend left him.
Because of Bottom?
Because of Bottom.
Oh, mate, you well shot her.
Yeah. Should have got rid of it a long time before she left you.
Kicked her right.
If she wasn't kicked her down the stairs. Mind the top step.
Should traffic wardens be out?
get onto that. So yeah, that is a nugget, a useful nugget of bottom trivia. It used to be on a kids channel in Canada. So if the person who left that comment, I won't say your name on here, but if you're watching this, listening to this, do get in touch, because I think we would like to find out a bit more about this situation of your girlfriend leaving you because you used to relentlessly watch bottom, because I think that is really harsh.
Yeah, it could have been education for her. Also, I'd like to know what else they put on Canadian kids' channels.
Yes,
You know?
yeah. Like, would like the young ones have been on there?
Who knows?
Would they put? What else could you?
Oh, I'm just watching the Craze on Cartoon Network.
The League of Gentlemen on Nickelodeon.
yeah.
Not quite sure that's going to work, but hey. Okay, so leading on from being introduced to bottom after a young age by parents or siblings and things like that, another theme that comes through quite strongly in the post that I did, asking for your experiences, but also just generally, like general comments in the post, is how many of you now, because you're an older age than you were when you were younger, obviously, are starting to introduce your own children to bottom, which I think is really nice. Carrying on that legacy, I suppose, yeah. Legacy, that from another thing that comes through quite strongly is the legacy starting with the young ones.
Yeah.
So almost going from the young ones to bottom to then introducing a whole new audience to bottom at a young age. And something that a couple of people have even asked me, when do I think is the right time to introduce a child to bottom? And I don't really offer parenting advice. It's not really a service I offer. But I mean, I can't remember in our last discussion just now, did we talk about what age you were when you first watched bottom?
Well, I think you said you were 10.
I was 10.
So I suppose I would have been about 5, maybe.
5?
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I'm one of 6 kids, so we were watching Terminator.
Yes.
You know, God, there were no age limits.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
Anything to keep them quiet. You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. Surely you can't remember much from watching bottom at 5.
I don't know. I feel like my strongest memories are sort of maybe 8 years old. As I say, it's more the kind of the quoting. You know, just random car trips with Dad and just. Or Guest House Paradiso is a massive memory, but that's obviously a little bit later.
Yes, 1999.
Yeah, so like.
How old would you have been then?
10ish.
Without giving your age away, obviously.
Yeah, so going into my teens.
Okay.
But, yeah.
So would you say then there's an optimum age for introducing children to bottom?
So when they get to about 6, is that when they're generally? Oh, I've got loads of kids. They're generally quite mobile and expressive. And
I don't know, to be honest.
I'll tell you what, I did it with my nephews, and they, were about 7 and 9, and I remember getting them to reenact the Queen's Own Ketchup. I've got a video of them going, "It's the Queen's Own Ketchup!" And they loved it. My sister was fuming. She was like, "Great, you're making him watch Bottom." So.
But surely, if there's one or two things that an auntie can do.
Yes.
There's not many things you can do as auntie. No. Surely you're there to do things like.
Impart wisdom. Yeah,
exactly. I think introducing your niece and nephews to bottom is a very auntie-like thing to do.
Absolutely it is. Yeah.
Or a fun auntie. If you're a fun auntie, not all aunties are fun probably, but if you're a fun auntie.
Fun auntie. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're saying around 7 to 9.
Yeah, I think.
7 to 9. I say I was 10. 7 to 9. Late primary school.
Yeah. I guess it's just the swearing is the issue, because the violence isn't real.
The violence isn't real, and there's not an awful lot of in the series. There's not an awful lot of swearing, is there? It's when you get to the live shows that there's, you get to the
I do remember
the explicitness of the live shows.
Yeah, like the palpable difference, like they're saying the F word in this.
Yeah.
And other things.
So I think episodes at about 8, 7, 8, 9, 10, because there's very little swearing. It's just more the it's more the innuendo, isn't it, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, that's the other thing is I don't know about followers and listeners, but I don't know how much harm it's done anyone in terms of how they interact in society, how foul-mouthed they are day to day.
I've never seen a kid hit a kid with a frying pan in the street,
Not like in The Simpsons where they're watching Itchy and Scratchy, and so she twats Homer with a mallet. Yeah. It's not like that, is it?
Yeah. Oh, is that when he's got the paint?
Yeah,
he does the psycho scene.
Yeah, the psycho scene. Yeah, he pulls the paint goes down the drain. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he brings up work the next day and says, "Oh, my baby beat me up."
Yeah. Sure, you can relate.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. Anyway, back onto bottom. And the other thing that I think is also really interesting is I have lots of younger followers. Again, this isn't little links, but people have been saying about their own experiences. But lots of followers of the page are very young. I would say 25-30% are in their 20s and teens.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
Which is interesting. And maybe that's something else to do, is actually talk to them directly about how they found out about Bottom, because I'd be interested in where people are accessing Bottom. It's got to be parents. It's got to be aunties, uncles, TikTok.
Maybe.
Maybe TikTok.
I'm sure I've seen some bottom clips on TikTok when trying to do it for Instagram or whatever.
There must be. I'm not on TikTok. I'm a little bit too old for TikTok.
Yeah, I'm not on it either, but it always comes up and okay.
When you get to 40, I think you have to accept that some social media platforms aren't for you, and I'm pretty sure TikTok is one of them.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's got to be a gap there somewhere, because I think I have the ownership of Instagram on Bottom.
Yes.
But there's a Bottom Twitter account that's got like 140,000 followers. So that Twitter space is owned by them. There's a couple of Facebook pages.
Yes.
Which
I follow those. Yeah.
So there must be someone who has the TikTok space sewn up. If there hasn't, maybe we should do it.
Oh.
Should we do a Bottom TikTok?
Should we do it? Yeah, okay.
If there's not, let us know if there's anyone who's following a Bottom TikTok page that's better than just a few followers, that's actually doing consistent daily, by Bottom content, I mean consistent daily content like you get from Hammersmith Hardman's Instagram page. That's what I mean by consistent posting. So it's just interesting to see that we are getting lots of young followers. So I think I say we when I talk about the page, and I'm also conscious that Hammersmith Hardman title does suggest that it's more than one person.
Yeah.
It is just me. The Hammersmith Hardman is just me. It always has been. So I always say we, and people always be like, "Oh, you guys are doing some really good stuff." And I always think, actually, that's pretty correct, because it is just me. Today it's Katie as well, but she's not a man. She's not a bloke. She's a proper bird. I think in terms of getting into Bottom, watching it as a youngster, I think we've covered most of that. Kind of moving on about what it means to people. Something that's come through really strongly also is around. And this surprised me when we were sort of doing a bit of like a pre-brief to this. This surprised me, but you weren't as surprised. Lots of people see Bottom as their comfort show.
Yes.
And I find that a little bit surprising, because I feel like it's just too chaotic to be comforting. To me, it feels like there's just like too much going on for it to be comforting. My comfort shows are probably The Simpsons and Bob's Burgers.
Yeah.
And they're comfort shows because there's so many of the episodes.
Yes.
To stick it on at the start of the day or the start of whatever it is you're needing some recovery time.
Yeah.
And you can let it go for 6 hours if you want to.
Yeah.
With Bottom, it's quite short and it's so chaotic. There's so much going. I can't see that there's much, but that's just obviously how I seek my comfort. But you said it was more of a comfort for you.
Yeah, it's just, I remember talking to my brother's girlfriend about it, and she was like, "I don't get it. All they do is just shout." And I'm like, oh, there's so much more to that. But yeah, I can see both sides of the coin, because, like you say, it's comfort shows. I think they did like a study on Friends and said that people find it comforting. Like there's a science to it, because they have a problem and they always resolve the problem. So I mean, I suppose with Bottom, do they resolve their problems? Sometimes they get their skulls crushed.
There's never really a happy ending. Is there in Bottom?
No, you get shot, but
go A Squad.
Go A Squad. But I think because it's from the 90s, a lot of people like to say it's connected to their childhood, and there's a comfort in that nostalgia, isn't there?
Yes, I think that is the key thing.
Yeah.
I think it is back to that. And I think there's a lot of people have mentioned, I think I mentioned it in my first Bottom podcast, was where people have the memory of recording it on VHS.
Yes.
Let's say 9 PM on a Friday.
Yeah.
And recording 2 or 3 episodes, and then just watching those same 2 or 3 episodes over and over again. Like you say, it sort of goes back to that nostalgia.
Yeah.
That time where there's obviously specific memories attached to it. It might be attached to parents and things like that. So I do understand actually from that point of view where the comfort comes from.
Yeah.
Just a couple of really interesting comments. One was around, it kind of just reminds them of good times with their best friends. Which I think is understandable. There was one comment about a guy that gets all his mates round once a year. They just get a load of beers and they watch all the Bottom episodes all night, and then they just go home again.
Amazing.
Just one Bottom night a year.
Don't even talk about their life. Just like everyone. Just sit. Just come on.
In silence and wait for Bottom to end.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would love that. I mean, I do put the Christmas episode on every year.
Yes, someone said that is comforting because they watched a Halloween episode of Terror and Halloween and Holy at Christmas. And I think Christmas is the only time I watch the Christmas episode. I don't watch Holy any other time of the year.
Yeah, I mean, if it happens to be on, on Gold or whatever. But
Talking of Gold, are you familiar with the episode Break on Gold?
Right. So there are a few. I feel like there's more than one. Definitely Break, but possibly. Well, obviously the Christmas episode was shorter, wasn't it? But and it's got all these added bits, like when he's packing the suitcases and he's talking about the hot pot or whatever. But then it's a bit strung out.
You see his suitcases all lined
up. Yes.
You see him fall down the stairs.
Yes. Yeah.
No, that's never mentioned anywhere. So it's in none of the fluffs.
Yeah.
When they did the bottom exposed on Gold, and they did they made a big song and dance about having the extended digger, which is also on the fluffs. They had the extended holy, which is everyone knows the extended holy.
Yeah.
At no point has anyone mentioned the extension to Break.
Yeah, even like walking in through the wall. Yeah, because he's run through the wall, hasn't he? And then,
and he comes back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching it the other night and I was like, oh, this is a new bit,
and also when he saws Eddie's legs off and he goes like, there aren't enough hours in the day, and then Eddie just turns and goes, ow.
Yes.
Ow.
Yeah.
And that's not available anywhere.
It's so odd. Why would Gold have it? And I mean, I don't know why. Why did they cut Holy short? Was there a reason for that?
Don't know.
Because I remember watching it back because I'd had the DVD and being like, where's the painting? Where's the
I think they maybe just made an enlargement because. Actually, I don't know. I'm pretending to come up with something. Just because reasons.
Yeah. I know sometimes it's like, something bad's been in the news, like the Wimbledon Common thing, like they banned that, didn't they?
They did. So again, for listeners and followers who aren't aware, so the last episode of Series 2, Bottoms Out, where they go camping, it's meant to be set in Wimbledon Common, but it wasn't in Wimbledon Common, it was in a studio. Just in case anyone was wondering, it wasn't in Wimbledon Common.
This is Julie Wankle.
when
Sorry.
I've got a packet of chocolate hobnobs. When I think it was the day it was due to air, someone was murdered on Wimbledon Common. So in a display of sensitivity and whatever else, BBC decided to pull the episode, and it wasn't played until about 6 months later.
Yeah.
It's just randomly they stuck it on one evening. So if anyone, that's just another cheeky bottom fact there for you, but most of you would have known that. Trivia. And the last thing on here I've got around the nostalgia is the nightclub that people that this particular follower used to go to regularly always used to finish with the theme tune, which is always good, isn't it?
I mean, what a legend.
That is. I'd like to. If you're listening, can you get in touch and let me know which nightclub it was and who the DJ was?
Yeah.
I don't know how long ago this was, but could you let me know, because I want to find that DJ and give them a free episode of this podcast.
Yeah, I'm already married, but I'm going to marry them as well.
There you go. So we get a wife and an appearance on this podcast.
Seems fair.
Oh, yes, that's a pretty good deal, actually.
Yeah.
I've got some nostalgia links that I went to one of many stag do's in Amsterdam about 10-12 years ago, and one of the bars there used to end on the bottom theme tune.
Amazing. So it's international as well.
It is, yeah. I don't know if there's an English, it might be, it's like you get lads on holiday, they end up going to the nearest British bar. So the next kind of collection of comments and responses and things I've also noted too is around the scripts and the dialogue. I think that one of the key sort of tones here is, I think that Bottom is well known for it being quite violent or slapstick violent.
Yeah.
Loads of knob gags, lots of shouting, lots of just angry shouting. But I think the scripts and the writing is underappreciated. I don't know how you feel about that. I think
absolutely, yeah. Obviously they were educated men. I think they said that they were kind of influenced by Samuel Beckett, but actually there are a lot of references to Oscar Wilde, Vivaldi. There's a joke about Noel Coward, but he says Noel Wilde because he gets confused. There's a lot of culture to it, no pun intended. I think because it's so obvious to just be like, it's just a stupid static show, but it's not. There's actually a lot of layers to the dialogue.
Yes.
Particularly in the episodes where there's not a lot of external scenes and stuff.
Yes, and they are generally, I think, tend to be the most popular when I talk about favourite episodes. And so something I've never done that I keep talking about, I think I might have mentioned to you once, was I've never done a World Cup of Bottom episodes to find out what the fans on Instagram, at least, what the fans' favourite episode of Bottom is.
Yeah.
Now I feel like if I was to do that, it would probably be a toss up between Gas and Culture. That would be my guess.
Yeah, a lot of people say Gas, don't they?
Yeah.
Which, I'll be honest, it's not one of my faves.
Is it not?
No, please
Any
don't.
particular reasons?
Maybe because I'm just so alternative and everyone else
Yeah, I was going to say, is this that hipster, bottom hipster?
There are bits too. I remember on my MySpace page, right, you could put like a little video on there, and I had the whole scene where, they're hitting him with a frying pan, and they're like, let's eat it, So I must have liked it then.
Yeah.
But I feel like the standard's so high. It's really hard to choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's that is one of the episodes where there is a lot of external stuff going on.
That's true.
A lot happens. They pack a lot into that episode.
They do. Yeah.
But I think, if I was to do like a workup of bottom, I think it'd be between gas and culture.
Yeah.
But I think generally when we talk about people's favourite episodes, it's usually the ones where there is just the two of them.
Yeah.
Just bouncing off each other, whether it's set all in the flat or in bottoms out, where they're just set up. You do have the flasher in bottoms out.
Yeah.
So it's just two of them. I think you can probably still say it's just the two of them, but with a bit of and Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, of course, too.
Of course, yes. Great Uncle Bulgaria, yes.
Or Hold, where it's just the two of them. And from my point of view, for my money, I think Hold is easily my favourite episode.
OMG.
Yeah.
So look at that.
Something about I think it's one of those ones where there's just the dialogue is fantastic.
Yeah.
The scripts, the jokes are relentless.
Yes.
When you think about from the start where they're talking about the accidents that Eddie had on the various rides, leading through to Keith and Deirdre to the vast slug, and then they're leading into the look here you roustabouts. And all of a sudden, you're nearly halfway through the episode, and they haven't stopped. Like it's just been like relentless jokes, but linked just to some not just throwaway jokes. And until he slaps him because he's talking all that bollocks. There's not an ounce of violence or anything. It's just the two of them exchanging. And for my money, that is my. I don't know if you have a favourite bottom episode.
Well, you and I think it's probably one of the first conversations we had, wasn't it? That we really appreciated the dialogue of the episode because Bottom's so known for its violence. But actually, like you say, there are so many kind of snippets of whether it's the monologue of when I get back to Blighty or Keith and Deirdre, or the vast slug. That must have been so difficult to film, just because if in doubt, hit them with a frying pan, but they can't do that.
Exactly.
But I think it's such a beautiful episode. I have a memory of me being on a Ferris wheel in Malaga, trying to do that whole vast slug thing and just pissing myself laughing, just not getting through it.
I'm not surprised.
Yes.
I don't know how they got through it, to be honest with you. I've got to think some of that must have been ad-libbed because I don't know how you could have that scripted and then carry it off the way they did.
I can't even imagine the writing room, but they said they had a lot of fun. So.
Oh, I bet they had lots of fun, yeah. So would you say Hull is your favourite or is there others?
Right. Can I have more? Obviously not, but like...
You can have as many as you want.
If we were to strip it back and take out all the violence, then yes, Hull 100% because the dialogue is so beautiful. Even, when they're discussing Buddhism and stuff at the end, it's almost like thought-provoking. Whereas it's a toss-up between Culture and Break because there are so many... I mean, the running through the wall, the holiday monkey... Oh my... no, in fact, you've been drinking, the falling... Every time I'm drunk, that comes out,
Drinking, ning, ning,
yes,
ning,
drinking,
ning.
yeah.
You left out a classic from there, from...
oh, have I?
I'm going to get me some liposuction.
Not
from me, you're not, matey.
Yeah.
Eddie, get a grip.
Yeah. Oh.
It's one of the members of the 12-inch club.
Oh, God, so if you had a gun to my head, you'd probably have to shoot me, because... I don't know.
Well, I think they are two very strong episodes.
Yeah.
Both from series 3, which is interesting.
Yeah. See, I also really like Carnival, which is obviously also season 3. Dancing the outline.
Some of the most iconic scenes of all of Bottom, probably the two most famous Bottom scenes, if you take away the frying pans and gas, take gas out of the equation, and maybe the culture fights. Take those out. I would say, obviously, Kilroy. Rik being Kilroy. Should Traffic Wardens be armed? And then that entire scene, that is probably the most iconic Bottom scene.
Yes.
But also a bit later on, before the sad, tragic, and also traumatising end to Bottom.
Really traumatising.
As watching it as a 10-year-old, which again probably shouldn't have been, but whatever. There's quite a traumatising end. I won't do any spoilers in case people haven't got through to the end of Bottom somehow. But the sand switches part is also an icon. That is one of the most famous and quoted scenes.
Oh yeah.
Both appear in the very last episode.
Do you think maybe they just really come into their own by then and really develop the character and just could ad-lib their way through it?
I don't know if they... Because they were always meant to get a fourth series, weren't they? And then it got taken away very quickly.
Yes.
I don't know if they had kind of anticipated that. Because again, Carnival was very different from many of the other episodes.
Yeah, the ending is a bit jarring almost.
The ending was jarring. Also, it was just very chaotic.
Yeah.
Like the whole Sharon Stone painted green thing was very bizarre. The watching the Prime Minister on the BBC camera, that was these were things we'd not sort of had before, and I feel like they were just packing as much in as they could. If this was the last episode, let's just throw all the shit that we haven't done yet into one episode, because it was. I mean, we don't expect like a very sort of engaging plot with Bottom, but this was just so disjointed. It was all over the place.
Yeah,
it was great.
I mean, they had a SWAT team. Like, maybe they thought, screw it, we can just break the studio because
just destroy the whole.
Why not?
So that is Break, Hole, and Carnival are probably three of will be my top three.
Yeah, definitely.
That's not to say I don't like any other episodes, obviously, but I'm a big fan of those three.
Yeah, I mean, I also like Digger just because of Eddie's lipstick, but.
No, Finger.
Finger! Oh, damn it. Yes.
I'm not going to cut that, I'm going to leave that in.
I got confused! I've been sleep doodling again. Oh no. Finger.
I'm very bad at it.
Yeah.
I've been misquoting again. I'm very good at it.
Oh no. Don't show this to my mum.
Is your mum a Bottom fan? She is.
Well, I was talking to her about doing this podcast, and she had never expressed any joy for it. And then she was like, "Oh yeah, we used to go and watch them live at the Comedy Store or whatever, Ben Elton and all that." And I'm like,
"Wow,
why have you never mentioned this, Francis?"
That is, that must be really good to watch. Amazing to watch them at the Comedy Store. Like.
Yeah, but maybe we just didn't appreciate it at the time because we don't have that kind of lens of of history to look back through.
No, true.
And then we got and it's gone.
Sorry, Francis, your daughter's not very good at quoting Bottom.
Sorry, your daughter sucks, sorry, Mum.
But away from the scripts and dialogue
Yep.
being really tight, and it's not just an endless string of knob gags.
No.
Because it's not.
No.
That said, there is a lot of silliness and stupidity.
Yes.
There is a lot. It's like there's no getting away from that. A lot of it is just complete nonsense, and I think we've actually just touched upon it talking about Carnival. I think Carnival is a really good example of how much nonsense there is in Bottom.
Yeah.
So you can think of that episode in its own. It starts with them at the window for the riots.
Yes.
They then come back, have the duck scene. At least we've got the duck, which is just ridiculous. And it goes into how did you get Laura Ashley was practically impenetrable.
that whole random
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Which they'd never done anything like that before.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
Are they actually impersonating characters, or are they just being northern old ladies?
They're being northern old ladies, I think.
They're
not taking the piss out of some. There must be taking the piss out of something they've seen, but yeah, it is just northern old ladies.
He's probably like one of them being served, or one of them kind of
Nora Batty style.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit before my time.
And then it goes into we've been burgled, and obviously Sharon Stone, the camera, the Rik fall down the stairs, and action, dart in the eye.
Yeah. The dart.
And it just goes on and on. It's completely just disjointed and ridiculous, but brilliant. This is not a criticism because I love Carnival, but it's just.
Oh my god, yeah.
Some of it is just complete nonsense, and it's cheap jokes, it's knob gags, it's slapstick, it's farting, and these are all the things that as a child it appeals to.
Exactly.
Right? These are the things that you, and also if you're watching it from a comfort point of view, it's probably what gives you what you need.
Oh, definitely. I remember. I think it was Christmas Day last year. I actually refilmed the scene where he runs through the wall. I just got some wrapping paper and put it across my door frame and just ran through it. Like shit. That was fun.
Do you fancy sharing that with us?
Yeah.
Not right now.
Not right now.
You can attack.
Yeah, definitely. I've got the clip. I think
I've merged a clip with this, and you can talk us through it.
Oh, okay. And here's where she runs through the wall. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Well, that is one of the ones I got notes down. A lot of the classic moments that we mentioned before, they are just the stupidest, like the running through the wall.
Sure.
The duck, Rik falling down the stairs, Richie shitting himself multiple times due to the cattle prod. Like that's iconic.
Yeah.
But it's just we can talk all we want about how good the dialogue is and how sophisticated some of the jokes are.
Yeah.
There's no getting away from things like that just being brilliant. That is what people come to Bottom for, I think, on the whole.
Yeah, I mean, they say if you tell a joke more than a few times, it stops getting funny, but I will never not crease up when he gets hit with a chair when they're playing chess in Culture.
Yes.
That first slam with a chair, tears. Every time. Every time.
Or just when it kicks off, where Eddie, he's checkmate, and then Richie just looks confused, and he just gets straight up and just smacks him.
Yeah.
That point there, from that point onwards, that entire scene.
The umbrella. Didn't you say that's one of the only times he breaks down the fourth wall? When he's got like the.
That episode's one of the times that Richie breaks the fourth wall.
Sorry, yeah.
See, Eddie breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah.
I think Eddie does it multiple times, but I think Richie does it 3 times. No, twice.
Well, in that episode or altogether?
Altogether. So he does it once in the first episode, Smells, where, when he chases the lesbians out of the pub.
Yeah.
He's like, we can just watch, I've got episodes of something, we can just watch them all in our pants.
Yeah.
And then everyone in the pub's looking at her, and then he comes back in, and he looks at the camera and says, what did I do?
Oh, does he look at the camera?
Yeah, looks at the camera and says that.
Yeah.
And then he does it in Culture, when he says about Eddie's talking to the camera about not having a television, and then Richie pops up and says, actually, listeners, it's wrong because we do have a television.
Oh, yes, of course. Oh, yeah.
And also, there might be a third time, he does it in, briefly, when Eddie's having his meltdown related to Sharon Stone and Tony Blair. Richie glances at the camera in confusion.
Oh.
I don't know if it's purpose, I don't think it's meant to be, or
Yeah.
he does a quick glance at the camera.
Yeah.
And when I've edited this, I'll merge this with clips of them breaking the fourth wall.
There's definitely one which is looking really confused. Like,
he definitely. I don't know if it was by accident. He does glance at the camera.
Yeah.
Obviously, Eddie does it all the time, but
this is the 70s after all. Yeah.
That is one of the good ones that gets used a lot in real life. IRL bottom quoting.
Oh my god.
When you're not sure what to say, so this is the 70s after all.
Yeah, just every time.
Is there a specific quote that you use? Like, is there one? I've got one that I use all the time. That I love using. Actually, I've got loads, but there's one that sticks out in my mind from Culture.
I mean, if ever I say I'm sorry to anyone, I'll follow with I'm a twat 10 times.
Yes.
My husband, right, he always says, he's like, right, if you do one more bottom quote, you're out of the house. And then we'll watch an episode and he'll be like, oh, that's my entire lexicon. Okay, right, so maybe I use it. So like, if we're like, I don't know, looking at some loser on the internet, he'll be like, of course I can't.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Get some loser on the internet. Poor sad kid. Those two things do go well together.
They do. What's yours?
My favourite one is if ever I'm having a conversation with my wife or anyone and I'm right about something, I often say, there you are, you see, I was right.
Oh, nice.
But my favourite one is where I then just stop and go, get out of that one, Rommel.
Yes! Yeah.
Sometimes it makes no sense or whatever.
Oh.
They look at me like, what?
I think I said that during a game of Monopoly once.
Yeah, exactly. It's perfect for games, but just generally. If you make your point, or you're right about something, or you're having some sort of discussion. Sometimes just to end the discussion, just say, get out of that one, Rommel.
Oh yeah.
So I'm bored of this now. I'm going to leave it there.
If I have a good idea, I'm like, oh, it's one of mine, wasn't it?
There's the one more link to that from the fluff in Bottoms Up with the fish finger, and he goes, who was right? It was me, wasn't it? So there's a bit like there you are, you see, I was right. Basically, Rick being smug when he thinks he's right is always a good response, I think.
It's Rick being Rick, let's be honest.
Yes, that is true.